Hello and welcome to today's class on understanding geography with diagrams. Today we'll be talking about your migration. Now, before beginning this chapter, first let us discuss what migration is. This is the simple definition as per the Rupa Made Simple. It says that migration refers to the permanent or the semi permanent change in the residence of an individual or a group of people over the significant distance. That is, migration is nothing but it could be a permanent or the semi permanent change in the residence of an individual or a group of people over the significant distance. This is the simple definition of your migration. Now, what are the factors that are responsible for the migration, or the causes of the migration are distinguished into two factors. One is your push, another one is your pull factor. What is this push factor? The push factor are operational at the place of origin, means where they are staying. The pull factor is at the place of destination, and it says that both push and the pull factor involves the real or the perceptual dimension as well. What is real dimension? Real dimension means, understand this. Let us say this is your destination, Odisha, and this is your destination, New Delhi. Now, let us say in the coastal Odisha we have cyclones, in the coastal Odisha we have flood. Now, this is the real situation over here in Odisha. So, basically, a migrant would say in the coastal Odisha would say that let us move on to Delhi because there is rarely any flood or rarely in the cyclone. This is the real decision. Now, what is perception? Think of it. This is Odisha and again this is Delhi. I would say that there are better facilities in Delhi when compared to Odisha. Now this is nothing but my perception. The perception which has developed because of the, it could be because of the reality, it could be because of just that I might be thinking that Delhi is better than Odisha. Now that can be something. So basically, reality is something when events occur, and perception is something that occurs in the mind of the people. Now, on the basis of this migration, we'll be discussing the Revestein theory, the Evert-Leaves model, and last but not least, Zelinsky's model. In the first class itself, we'll be discussing the Revestein and the Evert-Leaves model. Now, what is Revestein's model? Revestein was a geographer. As per Revestein, he took into analysis the international migratory trends across your North America that occurred between 1885 and 1889. Based on this analysis, he outlined some theories on migration, including number one, that the majority of the migrant go only for a short distance, that is distance decay. It simply means that with the increasing distance, the migration actually reduces. It says that for 100, if a particular place, you can see this in the diagram itself, it says that the distance from the city X in kilometer, and this is the number of migrants. It says that as this is distance from the city X, it says that as the distance increases, the number of migrant simply decreases. It's simple. Now, this theory also has a critical, that is that it also has been criticized because see, nowadays the transport system is very well developed. See, we have the boats, we have your cars, vehicle, we have your aeroplanes, etc. Now this have actually made the traveling quite easier. Hence people are able to cover the long distance. But let us say in case of a rural migrants, now rural migrants, or I say that people who migrate within the states, for example people who are coming from the distant source such as the Malkangiri to Bhubaneswar for a job. Now this think of that that Bhubaneswar is quite nearer to them, hence they can afford coming to Bhubaneswar rather than going to Andhra Pradesh. So basically money factor also works in this case. So I hope you got an understanding of this, that the majority of the migrant go only for a short distance, and this is called the distance decay law. Basically, you do not have to explain this. If you can write the statement with this diagram, that would be more than enough. Next, it says that migration proceeds step by step. Please understand this flowchart. Supposingly consider A is the city, B is the town. People have migrated from B to A. Now what will happen, there is some vacancy in the B. Again, people from a village will migrate towards the B, and again the vacancy that has been created by B will be filled up by D. So it says that the migration proceeds step by step, means the vacancy would be filled up gradually. Next, females migrate more frequently than males. Simple. The statement says that the female persons migrate more frequently than the males within the country of birth. Means within the country of birth, the females actually migrate more frequently. But when it comes to male, what happens is that they frequently venture beyond, means international migration, which basically the female are not able to do so. Again, this has been criticized. We'll even talk about this next. The main cause of migration is economic. Now please understand this. Now when we say that people are migrating from one region to another in search of job, basically the reason being is that the job that is being provided in their locality is not sufficient for them. For example, let us say that people from Odisha have traveled to Mumbai, some have traveled to Tamil Nadu, some have traveled to Delhi. The basic reason means is that the pay is actually higher over there when compared to Odisha. Hence, the term that main cause of migration is economic is simple, means that people migrate for money, and people also migrate to further improve their economic condition. Just writing this statement will be enough. Please do not explain this. Next, adults migrate more than the families. It's simple. Now basically what happens that even in our family we could have seen that if any of our parents gets transferred, basically your grandmother, grandfather, they basically stay behind. Even their grandchildren even stay with them. So basically what it says that adults migrate more than the families. Next, every migratory current have a weak opposite counter current. Please understand this. It says that see, let us see this example. See, let us say that this is your Bhubaneswar city, and in the Bhubaneswar city there are other many periphery areas. Let us say Balyanta is a periphery area, let us say, and there are other areas. It says that once people are moving into the Bhubaneswar city, there will be slowly a counter migration. What is counter migration? Counter migration means that people will be moving out of the Bhubaneswar city. Now why they will be moving out of the Bhubaneswar city? Let us understand this. See, one of the reasons why the people would be moving out is that because of the congestion of the city, or number two, it can also be the reason that they want a better living space which would be available outside the city, or number three is that people generally, after what happens is that in basically in the cities, after they have completed their job, or basically after they have completed their complete career, or after retirement, what they do is that they basically move back to the villages. That also happens. So it simple says that every migratory current has a weak and opposite counter current. If there is a movement from rural to urban area, then there will be a weak counter current, that is from the urban to rural area. Simple. Next, big towns grow on migration. This is very simple. Basically now most of you would have observed that in the current COVID pandemic crisis, what happened is that a large reverse migration is occurring. That is, people are moving back from the big towns towards their own home. Now basically understand this, that the larger towns such as the Mumbai, Chennai, the Bengaluru, they have grown basically of the migrant workers that actually move into there for better economic opportunity, as we had discussed over here. Hence, big towns grow on migration, or I can say big towns grow on immigration. What is immigration? Moving into the town. And please remember, immigration, it's E. Immigration means moving out. Immigration means moving in. Next, the natives of the towns are less migratory than that of the rural areas. See, this is simple. It says that the people who live within the town, they basically, what happen is that they have every kind of facility. Let's say for the educational facility, let us say they also have the well developed hospitals. Now they are less mobile, means they do not move here and there much, or they hardly they migrate. But the people in the rural areas, they keep on migrating, because number one, that there could not be adequate opportunities, or that could not be adequate facilities. Next, every settlement has an attractive field which is directly proportional to its side and inversely proportional to the square of distance. See, the bigger the residence, comma, there would be, the bigger the location, there would be more migration. Mumbai, Delhi, there is more migration when compared to Bhubaneswar. Bhubaneswar is smaller when compared to Mumbai and Delhi. But again, what happens is that distance matters. It says that migration would be more in compared to the size of the city, but it would be less when compared to the distance of the city, like we had studied in the first point. Greater the distance, lesser would be that of the migration. This is simple. Now, what is the criticism of the Ravenstein's law? Although the above statement of Ravenstein has been modified by subsequent researchers, they have not been disproven. The main criticism of the Ravenstein law on the migration are: number one, he neglected various forms of forced migration. Now let us see. Let us even analyze the present trends of the COVID migration or the reverse migration. Why is the migration occurring? The migration is occurring because of the COVID pandemic. Where? In the cities, in the destination cities itself. The COVID pandemic, actually the government is not able to provide them the adequate healthcare facilities. Hence, the people are migrating out of the town. Number one. Number two, again, he failed to count the current exodus from some large cities to smaller places in the developed countries. See, what actually is happening in these developed countries is that this the cities are basically becoming too crowded, and as a result of this, people are moving out of the cities. And he sees that there is, and this people, those who are moving out of the cities, they are in large number, and that is something Ravenstein doesn't takes into consideration. Next, his approach is positivistic based on data. Now, what is this positivistic based on data? Or understand this, the word positivistic. See, positivistic means that if we want to believe on something, then there must be concrete evidence and there must be concrete fact. We could see the thing, we could feel the thing, and there must be a rational and logic supporting our idea. Means anything that we want to believe, that must be logical and that must be rational. Anything that is logical and rational is supported by facts, and that is called positivistic. So basically what happened is that migration that Ravenstein proposed was positivistic in nature. Means he saw that this is the pattern of the migration. But what happened was that Ravenstein, his pattern of migration was based on what? It was based across the North Atlantic. What is this North Atlantic? Nothing but the USA and Canada. But what happened was that he ignored the normative factors. What are the normative factors? Like culture, religion, traditional values of people, and their likes, dislikes, prejudice, and aesthetic value. See, I would understand this in a very simple manner. Normative factors such as, let us say, marriage. People even migrate after marriage. Now, Ravenstein hasn't taken into consideration. Ravenstein says that what is the reason for the migration? He says economic. But nobody says that marriage is also one of the reasons for migration. Marriage is a part of your culture. Marriage is a part of our tradition. It is that simple. So basically what he says is that he was more positivistic. He never took into account the normative questions which were basically associated with the religion, culture, etc. Next, development. Again, this is the point over which Ravenstein has been criticized. Development in the transport system added to the opportunities provided has resulted in the female undertaking international migration. See, over here it was stated that females migrate more frequently than males within the country of birth, but males frequently venture beyond. But what is happening is that the development in the transport system added to the opportunities means employment opportunities provided, it has resulted in female undertaking international migration. For example, let us say in our family, or most of you must be knowing someone, a software engineer, male or female. Even female software engineers are going outside the country because of the opportunities that have been provided and because of the transportation system that has been made available. However, the gender disparity remains among the male and female. Remember this. So basically what we are saying is that yes, that the female are also able to venture outside the country just like the male. But again, there is a disparity. What is the disparity? It means that the males migrate more, or the males are able to take up the more migration or migration outside the country than the females. Last but not least, it's a conclusion. Despite of all this omission and commission, Revenstein's law on migration have greater validity and applicability over the world. Simple. Now let's come to Evertle's model on migration. The model involves the consolidation of the fragmented theories outlined by your Revenstein. As per Lee, migratory decision is regulated by four set of factors. The factors that originate, factors at the place of origin, factors at the place of destination, factors operating as intervening obstacles. What are intervening obstacles? Means such factor which are preventing migration. Let us say a person doesn't has money to buy the ticket, hence he cannot travel. It's simple. Or we can say that at present we have a COVID pandemic in Delhi. So even if I want to move on to Delhi, but there is an intervening obstacle. What is that intervening obstacle? COVID pandemic. Next, factors which are specific to individual. Let us say is that I have my mother and father who are over here, and that actually makes my mother that and what happens is that my mother and father, though they are being senior citizens, they are basically dependent on me. Hence, it's difficult for me to leave them. Now that is nothing but my individual personal reason. Similarly, people could also have other individual personal reasons. For example, people would say that my children are studying here, so it's difficult for me to move outside or to migrate outside. Next, for migratory decision to take place, or we can say when the person decides to migrate, what happens is that the factors operating in the place of destination, means where he wants to migrate, is required to be very strong enough to suppress the place of belongingness acting at the place of origin. The place of belongingness acts at the place of origin. So let us say what could be strong factor. Like he would say that if I am migrating outside, that most of you would have members in your family who are migrated outside our country to foreign countries. Basically the earning opportunity over there is more, or that they earn more than what compared to in our country. So basically what happens is that is nothing but a factor which is operating at the destination. So what is this factor? More money. Hence what it will do, it will suppress the place of belongingness acting at the place of origin, comma, satisfy individual's requirement and overcome the intervening obstacle. This consolidated migratory model with its open-ended characteristics. What is this open-ended characteristics? It says that it's completely open. It says that if a migration is taking place, then all these factors are responsible. Just think of it. It has led no condition that this will happen, that will happen. There is no economic, there is no nothing. It can be applied in any context. For example, if you even apply it in the marriage context, again, factors at the place of origin. Suppose a girl is being married to a boy, and basically a marriage, and what happens is that the boy lives in Australia. So basically the girl would be bound to go to Australia, number one, because her husband lives over there, number one. Number two, the factors at the and that it will also reduce the place of belongingness that its origin, because basically what happens is that she has to establish a family with her husband. And last but not the least, there is that the factors operating as an intervening obstacles. Let us say transport could be an intervening obstacle, but with money they can go or transport themselves to Australia. This is simple. Next, look into this diagram. See, this diagram says that the place of origin. In the place of origin there are a whole lot of minus and some plus. This whole lot of minus means that there's a push, that push factor. Plus is nothing but the place of belongingness. Intervening obstacle means minus, means they basically act as a hurdle to prevent the migration. Last but not the least is your destination. Destination is the place where we basically reach. That would be all for today. I hope you got a clarity of this two model, that is the Revenstein and the Evertle's model. For any other doubts, do ask me in the Telegram channel. Thank you. That will be all.